And say, "Hi, everybody. This is Patty Wallenberg." I'm me, Joe Maldonado from Griffin's Claw School of Practical Magic. And today we're going to do a reversal. This is the first of our coffee or teas for this year, for 2023.
Mhm.
And it is also the first of our witchy interviews, or our interviews with witches. And I'm just so excited because everything is just going exactly how I asked for it to go. And I thought, what better class to teach than to manifesting? And Patty's going to interview me. Now, this is a first because I have
Yes.
no idea what she's going to ask me, although she does have a sheet of questions ready. So, so after having the school be on pause for a bit while we were moving from one house to another, it's really been a delight to come back and just to set up the classes again for a fantastic fall, and to kind of just get into the space that I was in before. So Patty, do you want to start asking, or you want to like?
Well, I mean, we're gonna have a conversation. I
Yes, we
hope
are.
everybody brought their tea.
Yes. So I
S-
just want to show my tea
there you
cup.
go. Fantastic. So yeah. So how about we start with the term manifesting?
Aha, the term manifesting. So, as you will know, this is all according the dictionary according to Joe. So
Yes.
this is Joe's
Yes, exactly. What do
perspective.
you consider manifesting?
So manifesting to me is it's I think the phrase that pops out in my head the most is thoughts become things.
Okay.
So so it's thoughts that become things, but I just put a little plus sign to that, and plus a little bit of educational
Okay.
matters that you know how what the process is, and then after that the emotional component. So you have emotions, you have learning, and you have thoughts. So that to
Okay.
me is becoming or manifesting. It's kind of like growing your own egg, kind of sort of. Uh, uh.
Yes. Okay. So when you are considering manifesting something, whatever that something may be, could you kind of give me a short summary of maybe some of the steps you try to cover? Because you talked about including the emotional component, you talked about including the thought component and the education component. So, do you kind of have like a loose master plan when you go ahead to start manifesting on something?
Not anymore. I
Okay.
did have I wouldn't even call it loose. It was a structured plan, which is
Yes.
what I'm going to cover in class next Saturday.
Mhm.
Um, specific step by step things,
Okay.
because I've taken many manifesting classes, and that's the way I was taught to do it: A, B, C, D. Do it
Yes.
in order, and I've been doing that. But when I had this moment of ahaness and frustration because I was doing all of that. And then I went to my shaman friends and they said, "Oh, but you forgot this." So then I went in and I did the shaman suggestion things, because that's, another way of study that I've done through life. So I incorporate
Mhm.
that also. I'm like, okay, forgot to do that. And I kept going through these steps, forgot to do that, forgot to do that. And I couldn't figure out why was my house not moving. Now we had seven offers, seven,
Mhm.
seven
Mhm.
offers.
Yes, you did. I know.
The first year that came out, and there was a massive block. There was two
Yes.
massive blocks, which I'll talk about in class a little bit more. What kind of
Mhm.
blocks can you expect? But I
Correct.
can tell you, give you a clue and say that I was my biggest block.
Usually are.
I stood in my own way, and I'm like, wait a minute, step out of
Mhm.
me, would you?
Right.
Like, let's get together here and get your act together. Um, so, I think once, I got through all the structural things that
Okay.
I did, I came to a moment where I just completely relinquished all control, and this is like a big one that we're going to talk about in class. Everything, it's like, okay, I trust. I put my hands up in the air and I said, I trust. And when I
Mhm.
said those words, things moved like Spitfire. It was like, phew, it was, I think within half an hour, things
Yep.
moved. And they moved in all directions. They moved in the selling of the house, and um, they didn't move quite as quickly because I had to have another aha moment, which I'll talk about in class. Once the second aha hit me, I'm like, wait a
Yes.
minute, I did all these steps. I had an aha. What is this? Are the aha ha? It's a
Yes.
double aha. But when I stepped into that, and it was so huge. Again, things happen. Like for me, once I get it, they happen fast. So that was again within half an hour,
Yeah.
and this house went up, and whoop, there we go. And then I realized that, it's well and good to learn all these different things that I've learned, because I think they're necessary. You
Yeah.
kind of have to build your toolbox, and you have to put tools in
Exactly.
there to have a toolbox. So I had to have
Hmm.
some tools. So I studied, did the tools, but I think there's also like the emotional and component of it.
Sure.
It's like the heart connection. And once I did that, I'm like, this is what it's about. And then I started doing that with everything, and everything just it movers, boom, roofers, boom, insurance,
Yes.
boom, lawn guy, boom. It was
Yes. I remember. Hmm.
it just whatever I thought of, it just happened. It just the I think it was last week. We have a tiny, teeny little bitty kitchen, and so to make the most amount of use, I have no counter space really. I have half a counter on one side and a stove on the
Yeah.
other, and so we got an island, which a $1,200 island, which I got for free. Talk about magic.
Yes.
It was free.
Hmm.
But I got that, and it just wasn't big enough. And then again, in meditation, I'm doing my thing. And then I heard, okay, we'll just get a bigger top for it. So I
There you
started
go.
looking around for a bigger top for it.
Yes.
They were costing 1,500 for the
Hmm.
size that I wanted. It
Yeah.
would take months for it to get ready and to be shipped, and
Yes.
we're all out of state. And I'm like, okay. So I stepped into the manifesting bubble that I had created. Like, oh, I'm gonna step in. Ah, yes. And
Good.
just by doing that, Henry and I decided we were gonna go look. We're actually going food shopping, and we said, "Oh, on the way, let's stop at the antique store." You know,
Hmm.
so we stopped at the antique store, and then we saw a table that was great, and I'm like, "Oh, geez," And there was another lady that was looking at it, and I thought, "Oh, this will be great." It was only a little bit this and a little bit that, you know.
Hmm.
And she started talking to me, and she's got a purse on her shoulder and all that stuff. And I'm like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, you can have it." She goes, "Well, no, actually," she said, "I create them." And I said, "You create them?" She said, "Yes, I have a woodworking shop, and we create island tops, tables." And I'm like, "What?" And so I started telling her what we wanted. And so going from the $1,000+ mark, for
Yep.
$400, she's going to have an island top ready for us in a couple of weeks. And she's like
Beautiful.
half an hour from here, you know,
Even better.
and free delivery. So
Yeah.
I just thought, wow. And it was just this kind of stuff. And then other things like, I know people, you and I talk about parking spaces, and things like that. I mean, that's like a
Yes.
teeny little manifesting thing, I want a parking space in front of the store. Okay, no brainer. So
Hmm.
I think it's the process, and I
Yeah.
would love to be able to share that, with other people so they could do it. They don't have to go through. I'm like I'm like the guinea pig, I'm like, go ahead, universe,
Yes.
practice on me. I'll figure it out, and then I'll share what I learn. That's kind of
Yeah.
what my job is, to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because there is so many options out there for manifesting.
Oh my gosh.
Even when I got on the call with Joe, I was just like, so I got like 3 emails this week about how to manifest. We all hear about The Secret, and we all hear about this, and there's all these different ways of manifesting. But I always find the best way to learn is someone who's actively doing it.
Yeah.
who's done the mistakes, and also too who's acquiring the toolbox in ways that maybe we don't ever think about utilizing it.
Right, right. And we all pretty much have these tools. It's just,
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of kind of honing them, but also of putting them like which I happen to have here. This is my manifesting journal. Okay, so in
Okay.
this journal, it's a leather bound journal, but pretty much everything that's in here, um it's like I have manifested, it's our little house,
Okay.
I
Oh, I
scribble
see. Hmm.
on there, and it's
Okay.
just like all these little, my gate,
Okay.
that is there, all these
All right.
things,
So
that
you actually draw your visions.
I do. They're not
Okay.
good drawings. I mean,
No.
it's just like it's that representation, so that when I look at it, it becomes my trigger to my memory, that's
Correct.
when I drew that, I saw this,
Hmm.
and it's, I'm not the greatest person to draw, but I can scribble a
No.
mean line.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I think
Right.
I think that's all it is. It also, in my manifesting journal, it's just, I mean, this was done like a year ago.
Okay.
I manifested this house, peak roof, backs up to the forest. And then it just goes on, yard space for the dogs. I even drew, like, this is really silly, but this is the cul-de-sac that we're in. This is last
Okay.
year. This is our house. There's a little X there where our house is. This is exactly where our house is located, on the cul-de-sac. And then I
Nice.
have a neighbor here and here, and that's
Okay.
it. So, I think, and do you have to draw? No. Do you have to
No.
write? No. But I think it's like the more things that you use for your tools, the more of your energy and your wholeness comes into play, and
Hmm.
then that becomes stronger. And
Right.
as it becomes stronger, then it happens.
Yeah.
It just happens. So I'm like, okay, so I got the iron top for the kitchen down pat,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I'm
And
like,
everything else.
so I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so we're having a tea party in a couple of weeks. It would be lovely to have some contractors come and take out the cabinets, put some shelves in. Text message last night, we'll be there next week. I'm like, oh,
Oh, nice.
okay. So
Yes.
come on down.
Yes.
So I think it's really, it's so cool
Okay.
you know when you
Mm.
learn this stuff. You know what I mean?
Correct. Correct. Nice. So when you are considering manifesting something, whatever that is,
Mhm,
do you try to give it as much life as possible? Do you try to create so many details? There's always that thought process sometimes on manifesting, that
mhm.
you also give the universe a little bit of room to bring in its input. Maybe is there the balance between the two, or do you kind of go and be as thorough as possible?
Yes, I think thoroughness has a huge part in it. When I
Okay.
was initially learning years ago, manifesting and taking classes, I found through trial and error that if I was not thorough on the
Okay.
detailness of
Hmm.
what I wanted, the universe gave me what I wrote when I asked for. Oh, but I forgot. One
Yes.
one of the things was, I had a school that was
Yeah.
actually a building back,
Hmm.
years ago, and
Yes.
and I had, I wanted it 5 minutes away from the house. Well, it was on a walking path, walking 5 minutes away.
Even better.
My car was like a minute away, I think. And I wanted, I had it drawn, I had all these details, and the one detail that I did not, and it was for rent. The one detail that I did
Yeah.
not put in there is that I wanted an amicable and empathetic landlord. And
Yes.
I had the landlord from hell. You're talking police involvement, all kinds of citations. So, so I learned from that,
Yes.
detail and thoroughness is really
Okay.
big. And I think now, because I've been doing it such a long time, and since this last big aha-ness, from the
Hmm.
house thing, um, things just come spectacularly
Yes.
easy.
Yes.
because I know thoroughly in my mind. I don't have to write it anymore. I don't
Yeah.
have to draw it anymore because I'm not focusing on a big project like the house. I'm
Hmm.
just saying, hey, I'd love to get a pair of slippers that have a fox on them. And boom, here they are, Amazon,
Hmm.
$19,
Yes. Yeah.
yay. So
Yeah.
I I don't do that anymore. It's kind of like, I think, when you're learning your clairs,
Hmm. Yeah. You have
when
to practice them.
you don't practice them, and then you got to sit down and kind of like bring them back, but if you
Yes.
practice them, and I did about almost a year's worth of practicing, with the
Hmm.
whole house procedure. I mean,
Yes.
it was from really was from June to October, and then I went, and this is not working. We're taking it
Correct.
off. I want to regroup.
Yep.
Switched, one of the main components that was blocking me, switched out from that, and
Okay.
then started over. And it was literally, it was 2 days. The house
Yes.
was on the market. He didn't even finish putting his marketing materials together.
That's
He's like,
okay.
wait a minute, I'm going to cancel them. So,
Yes.
it happened really, really quickly. And I think all of it is necessary, not just certain,
Yeah.
not just the details. I mean, I think it's the whole picture. And that's why I thought, well, let's give it a shot and see how much information we can get into an hour, hour and a half. We might
Yeah.
need to go over time, 2 hours on the actual class. There's a lot of
Okay.
info, and I would like people to walk away from it knowing that, I think I got it. Let me at
Okay.
least go off and practice it, and then maybe
Hmm.
somewhere down the line we'll have something else. Now we've got, right behind my class, another manifesting class, a different way of doing it, and that's
Okay.
Heidi Brahm is teaching that through the subconscious. So Heidi Brahm is a hypnotherapist, and she does
Okay.
everything in altered state. So in an altered state, how do you manifest? Or am I doing it already and I don't even know? So,
You
I mean,
be.
I don't know. So, and then Karen Palino is also teaching, manifesting through the angelic realm and the
Okay.
divine. So there's, like you said, all of a sudden you're getting all these emails on manifesting.
It's very timely for whatever reason, whatever is kind of floating around in the universe. It's very
Yeah.
timely. People maybe, people are scared. I think fear is a huge motivator to want to change or feel like I can control my life a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah.
And then manifesting, what is it I need? What is it I need to feel comfortable?
Yeah.
What am I looking for? So I do think that that is a very timely topic at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Mm.
like I said, though, I think education is a key part of that too, because if you have a fear of something,
Mhm.
let's look into that. What is your fear about?
Right.
What is it derived from? What is the root of your fear? And
Yeah. Well, you did say before your biggest block about manifesting was yourself.
yeah,
So that's hard, but people try to manifest and they don't get results
right,
and they don't always analyze why.
right.
And then they get frustrated and they don't try again. It's practice. I mean, you've been doing it for a long time. It's not like one and out. And you also start small. You didn't start just manifesting a whole new life for yourself the first day.
Right, right, right. I
Got
don't
to
even
pace
remember.
yourself a little bit.
It's like funny. It's like somebody asked me, what was the first thing I manifest? I don't remember, it's like, I don't know, but I think once you start, getting those little,
Right.
oh, wow, this worked.
Hmm.
I think I would probably say parking spaces were my first
Yes.
little dip into manifesting, right?
Yeah, I
How about
agree.
you? You do this a lot.
Yeah.
You're the
Parking
king of
spaces.
manifesting.
I know. And then, of course, once I get the parking spaces down, then I up the challenge. So I go, all right, I want a parking spot here.
Here, that's what I do
But
now
but if I can't have that parking spot that I want, what kind of car is in my parking spot?
too.
So
Yeah,
then I start trying to stretch. the manifesting, the seeing, the visualizing. Because I sit there for a moment and I kind of picture that parking spot and I go, well, is it empty or is there someone in it? And
Yeah,
who is
yeah,
in it?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so
yeah.
constantly trying to grow the skill set
Yes,
so that when you need to do things
yeah,
like sell your house,
yeah.
um, and and even me who just sold my house. So I just sold my house a few months ago, and I knew it was time for it to go. And all my friends were like, "Oh, no one's been out. No one's been out. Only one person's looked at it. Maybe we need to do." And I go, "Leave it be," because I knew it was coming. So that trust factor is
Yes.
massive in
Huge.
all of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everybody else was flipping out and talking. Maybe we should lower the price. Maybe we should not. Maybe you shouldn't move. And I go, leave it be. Just leave it.
Yeah.
And I got two offers in the same day, 3 weeks later. So yes, it needed a little bit of time. Maybe the timing wasn't perfect,
Yeah. Chill
but
out, everybody. I got this. Yeah.
yeah, but I
It's like Glenda,
trusted.
the White Witch, Wizard of Oz. Chill
Exactly.
out, everybody. I got this.
Exactly. And I did a couple of tweaky things. You know, I was like, all right, so why isn't the house selling? Why isn't no one coming? Is it a perfect location, perfect house? So what's wrong?
Yeah.
I needed to do some clearing in it. I needed to
Yes.
detach a couple of cords. I needed
Yep.
to talk to the house and go, your new owners are going to be bang up. They're going to be
Yep.
so great. You're going to be so happy
Yes.
because everything has energy about it, you
Yes.
know. But the biggest part of it, well, everyone else is in your ear with their fears, is not to allow yourself to go into fear
Right.
and trust.
Absolutely. And I think, you and I have, similar training in a lot of different
Yeah.
things. So our shamanic training, I think, also comes into
Yes.
play. We both do remote healing,
Absolutely.
so we use that. That's a tool that's in our toolbox, and I do the same thing now. It's like, okay, so I'm beyond a parking space in the area of, I
Yes.
want that space because it's close.
Yes. I want that
Earl
space.
doesn't
And
have
who
his
parked
boots
in
on and the pavement's hot, so I want the closest possible space to the building,
exactly. Yes.
and I think, then I go, okay, so who's in that space? Is it taken? Is it empty? Oh, they're just about to leave. Oh, but they're
Aha. Yes.
walking slowly. So and I kind of,
Yeah.
I push myself a little bit more,
Yeah.
just to fine tune, the little skills that I do have so that I can get
Mhm.
a little bit better at them. It's like
Correct.
when we study the clairs, it's like, well,
Mhm.
which clair is your is your number one clair that you use? Like
Yes.
comes like no big deal. Well, which one is the one that you hardly use? Well, let's
Yeah.
work on that. Let's strengthen that one,
Exactly.
so that you can kind of balance out. And then when you need that one, oh yeah, I do smell something right now. I don't usually, but I
Dude,
smell
I
something
taste it's disgusting.
yeah, the
Yeah.
taste.
It's just like, oh, it's a
Exactly.
taste. Oh, I don't want it. So yeah.
I know. Especially if
Yeah.
you're
I
going
will
into a
smell
dog
sometimes
body,
too.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what did you
Yeah.
ah, pus. Oh my
Exactly.
God, no.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But yes, it is always kind of good to challenge yourself.
yeah,
Otherwise, you get really comfortable or you stay frustrated,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know, and the more that you can expand your way of doing things, the easier I find it is to ultimately get what you ask for.
Mhm, mhm. And I think, the key word is when you get frustrated. When you get frustrated, that's self-doubt, and self-doubt can lead to fear. And then
Of
you're
course.
just like, you're a mess. Like, get out of
Yeah.
here. Go over there, take a nap,
Yeah.
wake up, and do a meditation, because you are
Right. Get grounded again, start
yes,
again.
yes.
Or, you know, or sometimes when you're trying to manifest something, take the time to look at why it didn't happen. You
Oh
know,
boy.
sometimes you just
Yeah,
shelve it
yeah,
and you're like, oh, this is crap. I'm not doing
yeah,
this.
yeah.
But really sit down and analyze why didn't it work? What happened?
And that's kind of what we're going to be doing because I think we need to
I think it's
really
hugely important.
yeah, we need to examine like why didn't it work for you? So during the class, bring your item or list of things that you want to manifest. Let's work on it.
Here's my list. I have a list for that too.
Make
No.
sure you have a journal. We're out of time. Does anybody have any questions or comments that you'd like to add before we go? Anybody on here that wants to pop in? Okay, if not, we're going to sign off the recording and then I'll stay on for a few more minutes. So we're not recording and then we can chat some more then. So, at that note, Patty and I say, see you later, Gators. Thank you for coming to this one. We'll see you soon in another coffee and tea.